All right, welcome back to another episode of Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, the Daily Walk Edition. This is episode number 56, and I'm back at Red Morton Park. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day as we near the end of the first month of 2019. I just can't believe how amazing the weather is. It's about 56 degrees. The sun is out. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is what we pay for out here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And to a few people out there that have been commenting on my videos or through some of the Discord groups I'm a part of, they say, "Hey, Coach Eli, we hate watching your videos because your weather is so nice there." I can't help that. This is where I was born and raised. And this is where I've decided to spend my life. And yes, it is very expensive to live here, but I've been living here all my life, so I've accustomed myself to this lifestyle. So anyway, I'm back after having an amazing weekend, spending an amazing weekend with my activity partner. This lady I've been hanging out with and doing some hikes with on the weekends. We did 2 separate hikes for a total of 15 miles. Got some great exercise in. And I'm tired. I'm worn out. So this is going to be more like a melancholy type of video. I may get a little animated every now and then. I still have some energy left in the tank, even though I'm recovering. But this is after a video I put out on Friday. That was probably one of the more controversial videos I put out ever. I pretty much made some bold statements in regards to many aspects involving different online communities I've been a part of. I'm not going to get too specific into it because I'm moving past it. I have moved past it. If you want to check out my previous daily walk video that was released on Friday, it's episode number 55. Check it out. It's an hour and like 4 minutes long, I believe, but it's well worth the view. And between that video kind of blowing up, it has close to 400 views now on a channel with fewer than 100 subscribers. I'm getting closer to 100, even though I'm not showing my subscriber count. Just for you folks out there that are watching and want to know, I'm getting closer to 100, and once I reach over 100, I will probably turn on my subscriber count. So that's a little update on that. But yeah, between all the comments that I got from that video, good, bad, and different, responding to them, preparing for my weekend, hiking for a total of 15 miles. I'm tired. I'm worn out. So I'm going to pass by some kids here and hopefully they don't say anything. Anyway, if my head's on straight, I believe that today's Martin Luther King Day and everybody's out. Everybody's out and doing their own thing out and about, and I'm doing my own thing. Those kids kind of turned around, they were looking at me. I looked back at them, and I was just saying, these little shits better not come and fuck up my video. That's what little shits do. They go out there and they create havoc. They raise havoc. Anyway, back to the topic at hand here. So yeah, I had a pretty interesting weekend. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Not just from hiking 15 miles in the last video I put out, but to be honest with you, I'm getting really drained with what's happening to our society and the many different views that people have on it. We're so far apart. Like, everyone's so far apart with their views. I'm trying to find some common ground for everyone, and it's the most difficult thing to do. It's a very challenging thing to do because I'm the type of person that really cares about everyone, and I care about this world. I really do, regardless of who you are or where you come from. And it's draining when you're trying to fight a battle that would be difficult for a million people to get together and battle together that were on the same page. I mean, trying to do it by yourself, shit. You know? But why do I keep doing it? Because I have a passion for it. I really care. I want to make a difference in this world. I've learned a lot, and I want to continue sharing those experiences, and that's why I'm back here today, even though I'm a little bit tired and could use a break. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to the topic of today's video and just dive right into it. And you'll hear more about, how I'm feeling and the aftermath of, the last few videos I put out, especially the last one I put out, my Daily Walk episode number 55. So the topic of today's Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, the Daily Walk edition, episode number 56, is favoritism. Do men and women, truly have equal rights? And then I'm going to be discussing, Coach Eli's future message in regards to the war between men and women. So one more time, for those of you that didn't hear the topic the first time, that's why I repeat my topics. That way you can remember them. The topic of today's Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, the Daily Walk edition, episode number 56, is favoritism. Do men and women actually or truly have equal rights, the same equal rights? And then I'm going to be talking about, Coach Eli's future message in regards to the war between men and women. And any which way you look at it, whether you think there's a war between men and women or not, there definitely is. Even if you're one that is in a happy relationship, you have a happy family, and in your neck of the woods, everything is all good, it's not all good everywhere. It really isn't. And it saddens me. If you're hearing some wind noise in the background, it's a little windy. It's not me breathing. I'm just going to mention that once again because it's been a little windy at the park lately. And again, my wonderful headset here that I use, that many people have labeled as a telemarketer headset. You walk around like a fucking telemarketer. I gotta say, some of these comments I get, they're entertaining to me. I gotta have something to keep me going, to continue, finding the strength, the energy to do these. And some of the comments, even though I know they're fucking rude as hell, are pretty fucking hilarious. So don't get me wrong, I do have a sense of humor. But yeah, this wonderful headset will cancel out most of the wind noise because, as you can see on this microphone here, there is a piece of foam on it, That's the windshield right there. But even with any windshield, if there's strong wind, you'll still hear the wind a little bit, but it won't overpower your voice. You can always hear me even when there's wind noise. So anyway, so let's get right to it. Okay, let's talk about the first part of the topic, which is favoritism. Do men and women, actually have the same equal rights? Well, let me tell you what partially inspired me to do this topic today. I actually slept in today. I slept in till probably about 9:30 in the morning. I went to bed early, and I probably slept for, at least 10 hours. Maybe a little longer. Sometimes you got to do that. And as an entrepreneur, you have the flexibility of doing that because sometimes you're busting your ass, and then you take a couple days off and you kind of push yourself to the extreme, and then you're kind of worn out, so you need some more sleep. Sleep is good for you. Let me tell you that. It's good for you. But I got up this morning, and I was actually spending a bit of time in one of the Discords I'm a part of, the Mad Shangy Discord. Mad Shangy's been back. His computer is back and functional, and he's almost back to 100% full force. For those of you that are wondering out there, he will be doing more of what he used to do coming soon. So be on the lookout for that. I spent some time in there, and we started talking about, what's been going on, with the videos I've been putting out there lately. We've been talking about this controversial, Gillette commercial and why some people are responding to it in a negative way, and some people are responding to it in the positive way. And, what was being mentioned through that group is that women have more rights than men. That's what was being mentioned, not only by the men in the group. It was also mentioned by several of the women that are a part of that that Discord group. In the Matching Discord, there are some women in there, young and middle-aged women, and they're good people. I respect all of them. I admire them. I value their opinions. But even the women were saying that women have more rights than men. And I'm sitting here, and I was thinking to myself, I see where they're coming from. That's not totally true. Okay? Because when you look at it on paper and what's written down, technically, men and women have the same equal rights on paper. But the laws are applied differently between men and women when it comes to the court system, when it comes to the government, like I said, the court system, and even when it comes to the corporate workforce. The laws that are supposed to be equal between men and women are applied differently between men and women. And in my opinion, they favor women. So technically, I honestly don't think that women have more rights than men, at least on paper. Okay? The Civil Rights Act is written for both men and women. Okay? The Civil Rights Act, again, like I said, is written for both men, or was written for both men and women. Okay? But what's happening is that women are getting what I've always referred to as special privileges. Okay? They're being favored. For whatever reason, they're being favored within the court system. They're being favored in the workforce, etc. And I was going back and forth. It was a friendly debate within the Discord group, the Mad Shangy Discord group. And I was basically saying, I'm just looking to see where these people are coming from. I want to avoid as many people as possible because this is a very sensitive subject. Got somebody coming by here, so give me just 1 second. I'm going to move over here. Basically, what I was trying to tell him is that the laws are applied differently towards women than men, even though we have the same exact equal civil rights, which makes it appear like women have more rights. If that's the way that you want to look at it, that's totally fine by me. But from a technical standpoint, we have the same written equal rights. Then, a few people in my Discord group reminded me of a few things that I've completely lost focus on. Because I've been more focused on marriage, dating, relationships. I've been focused on the court system, the government. I've been focused on the corporate workforce and how things are screwed up in those aspects, that somebody in the Discord, one of the guys mentioned, what about the draft? Is it fair that women don't have to register for the draft? And that hit me because I totally forgot about the draft. I mean, I'm 45 years old. The draft was something important when I was younger, but, now that I'm 45, you don't really think about it as much. But, women are not required here in the U.S. to register for the draft. All men, I believe it's between the ages of 18 and 25, are required to register. Now, a few years ago, they tried to change that and make it where women were required to register for the draft. And there was a big push for it. But obviously, it was shut down. So as of this day, women are not required to register for the draft. And, some of the people in the Discord were saying, is that fair? Does that make things equal between men and women in the ways that women want things to be equal? It was an eye-opener because I totally forgot about the draft. I started thinking about it. I'm like, no, it's not fair. It's absolutely not fair. Okay, but does it bother me? Does it actually bother me that women are not required to register for the draft? No, it doesn't bother me because I think we have bigger issues than that. I can understand why it would upset some men, that are unhappy about the way the system is nowadays. Because those men are saying, hey, if women want things to be 100% equal, they need to do everything that a man's been doing all along, including registering for the draft. I can understand your argument on that, and I get you. In my opinion, it doesn't bother me because, in actuality, let's be real here. No disrespect to women. Men were made to be physically stronger than women. Now, are there some women out there that are stronger physically than men? Yeah, there are some women out there that look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they're not the most feminine-looking women, but they're capable of kicking some ass. Even some ass, even they're capable of kicking men's asses. I mean, some women are strong like that. But most women, at their natural essence, are not physically stronger than men. They were not designed by the good Lord to be physically stronger than men. Okay? So from that aspect, if I'm looking at it from a logical standpoint of who I would want defending my country, if we went to war, it would be strong men. Because men were physically designed by the good Lord, in my opinion, to be stronger. And that way, they can protect our country as best as possible. Okay? Also, fighting has always been known to be more of a masculine trait. It's been known to be more masculine energy than feminine energy. So that's why the fact that women are not required to register for the draft, the fact that they're not required to register for it doesn't bother me, is for the reasons I just mentioned. Is it fair from an equal rights standpoint where women are, saying we want equal rights to men? Exactly. It's not fair, but quite frankly, that's something that's small potatoes to me compared to the other stuff that's creating the most major issues. There was another issue that was mentioned, and I'm probably going to get highly scrutinized for my opinions here, but these are just my opinions, where men don't have equal rights to women is when it comes to reproductive rights, when it comes to a woman that's pregnant. Who has the rights to decide if she wants to keep the baby or have an abortion, or, who has the rights to the fetus and this and that. And women have been fighting for that, right? Okay, now, technically, for the most part, regardless of who has the rights, in which, most people out there are going to say, well, the woman has more of the rights. Both the man and the woman technically do have equal rights to that because they took the man's sperm to get her pregnant. But who is the court system going to favor? It's going to favor the women. And remember, this video is about favoritism. They're going to favor the woman. But let me be honest with you. Let me go out and further say, and this is where a lot of people have an issue with me. I look at things realistically. If you're a man going out there and you're just sleeping with a bunch of women, if you're not interested in a committed relationship, if you're not interested in getting married, if you're going out there and just pumping and dumping women and having casual sex, you have to understand that when you have casual sex, you still have many risks. You have the risks of getting a disease, and you have the risk of impregnating the woman, even if she says she's on birth control, even if you use a condom. Now, a woman can lie about being on birth control, but I've heard of cases where even with women being on birth control and a man using the condom, they still get pregnant. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes condoms crack, birth control fails. It fucking happens. If you are a man that's going to pump and dump, you are putting yourself at risk. No matter how much precaution you take to prevent pregnancy, you are putting yourself at risk. And if you're not willing to accept that risk before you put your penis into a woman's vagina, okay, then you shouldn't do it. So you should think about what could possibly come out of it before you do it. Okay? If she does end up getting pregnant, you had to be prepared to do the right thing as a man. Okay? But a lot of men aren't prepared for that because a lot of these men are just out there pumping and dumping, and have no emotional bond to the woman and don't care about anything besides getting a piece of ass every now and then. Okay? So when you look at it from that perspective, okay, I can understand somewhat why the system would kind of favor the woman in that position, because you as the man weren't with that woman for the right reason. You were pretty much taking advantage of her. Now, some women will willingly participate in a pumping and dumping or in a casual relationship. And I think those types of women are the women that are going to take the most precaution. And if something does happen where she gets pregnant, they would be willing to work it out with you because they agree to it. But in many cases, there are men out there that are manipulating women to sleep with them. Whereas if they didn't manipulate them, the woman wouldn't give them the time of day. And what I mean by manipulating is they will lead the woman to believe that the man wants more than just sex, just to get the sex, because the woman won't give that man sex any other way. Unless, like I said, the man makes her believe that there's something real there. So in those cases, if you get one of those chicks pregnant, you're screwed because you manipulated her in the first place just to try to get in her pants. So in that case, if I'm going to be real with you, no matter how much this hurts all men out there to hear this, you basically are deserving what you're getting. Because you tricked her into having sex with her, and now she's pregnant, and now she's pissed that you used her. And now she's pregnant with your baby. And now she's thinking, oh my gosh, this guy took advantage of me, and now I'm pregnant with this baby. Now let's see what he's going to do. Is he going to man up and take care of his responsibility or not? Because regardless of how you get a woman pregnant, whether you mean to do it or not, it's your responsibility as a man. Are you going to take that responsibility? So when it comes to reproductive rights, quite frankly, I haven't focused a lot of energy on them because of the fact that, for me, I don't sleep with any woman unless I really care about her emotionally. I like being with her genuinely. And, furthermore, I enjoy her company more than just her body. And whether, and let's say she were to get pregnant, okay, whether it happens sooner than we would plan it to happen, or even if we didn't want it to happen, it did happen, at least, it would make more sense because we're into each other for the right reason. We're together for the right reason. You understand what I'm saying? What a lot of men don't think about are the consequences ahead of time before they do something. Right? But now you guys are complaining that you want the laws to protect you. Some men out there might say, oh, Eli, you're acting like a fucking feminist when it comes to your views on this. Maybe I am. I'm just being real. I'm basically sharing with you guys the stone cold hard true, or the stone cold true hard facts, which is what I'm trying to say. I can't even speak here. I'm a little tired today. You guys don't want to hear the truth. You guys want your cake and you want to eat it too. You guys practically want to get out of the jail card free for everything, and you don't want to accept any responsibility for anything. That's the problem that I have. And that's why I think reproductive rights were set out to be that way. That's just my opinion. So between the draft and reproductive rights, those are pretty much just a few of the things where I guess the equal rights thing between men and women can be challenged or questioned, right? Okay, but let's get to the other aspects. Let's get to, marriage. Let's get to the corporate world. Do men and women have equal rights, in the workforce? And do men and women have equal rights within the court system? And, when it comes to, government issues, government stuff, government laws. Well, like I said earlier, I believe on paper, when it comes to these aspects, on paper, we do have equal rights. So on paper, in what's written down within the Civil Rights Act and other laws, we have those equal rights. But beyond that, we are dependent on the court system to decide how to apply those laws based on each individual unique situation. And this is where I think men get screwed a lot. A lot of women are favored by the system. And that's where I feel it's not fair. So, for the most part, do I feel that men and women have equal rights on paper? And was the purpose of the Civil Rights Act a good thing to make it a more, level playing field between men and women? Absolutely. But the way the laws are applied to men and women are very different. And it also depends on who the judge is. Is it a male or a female judge? I'll tell you, I've seen some female judges that rule in the man's favor. I've also seen some male judges that rule in the woman's favor. It all depends. Because remember, every judge out there is a human being like you and I. They have to take the law into consideration when making a decision. Okay? That's what their job is to do. And in many cases, if they're having a bad day, if they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, if their marriage is failing, it might affect their decision-making process. And that's where I think the system is flawed. Because I honestly think that a lot of the laws are being applied according to how the individual judge feels on that particular day, or based on what may be happening within their lives. Remember, we're emotional creatures. Even men are emotional creatures. We just don't display our emotions as much. Okay? We're emotional creatures, and if we can relate to something that we've gone through in a case we may be dealing with, it's going to affect our emotions whether we want it or not. That's just how human beings are at a natural level. Okay? So again, I honestly feel that on paper, in these instances, when it involves the court system and the government, divorce laws, we do have equal rights written, but in many cases where the outcome has favored the woman, it is because the woman was favored in that particular situation for one of many reasons. Okay? And I'm not saying that those reasons are valid. It all depends on how the judge interprets it to be. It all depends on how good the story comes from the man and how good the story comes from the woman, who has a better attorney. Yeah, it's a flawed fucking system. It's a flawed system. I think everyone's, out there saying that, okay, we don't have equal rights. We do. We do have equal rights. But the system that gives us our equal rights is not being managed properly. It's not being applied properly. It's not being applied equally between men and women. And maybe women are favored most of the time when it comes to the way these laws are applied, is maybe because, technically, women are more emotional creatures, and maybe the judges look at women as more physically weak, to where if a woman just comes out and says, he beat me up, even if the man didn't beat her up, in some cases, the judge might believe that, depending on how good the attorney of the woman is. There's a lot of bullshit going on out there. That's where the issues are at. It's basically within how these laws are applied, not what these laws were meant to be. It's the people that run the system. Now, in the corporate world, I have a lot of experience where there was a lot of bullshit. There was a lot of favoritism going on in the corporate world. I've kind of shared some of these stories in the past, but let me share at least one or a couple right now so you get an understanding. Okay? When I was growing up, I'm not going to mention the companies here because I don't want to cause any issues. I just want to use it for example purposes. I had a job working for a movie theater, and it was a great first job. I worked there for 4.5 years until I was 20 years old. And at 20 years old, I wanted to get a job making more money, and I wanted to work for a better company. Well, I figured out what I wanted to do for a career, okay? So I started working for this big box company. It's still around today. I worked there for 5.5 years, and I really loved the job. It was one of the best paying retail jobs back then and still is today, because they always have paid far above and beyond minimum wage. And they've always had some of the best benefit packages. 401k plans, sick leave, vacation pay, bonuses, everything. Great company to work for. I started working for them, and I've always had great work ethic. I've always been the type of person that takes pride in my work with my morals, values, and ethics. I show up to work on time. I stay late when asked. I work overtime when asked. If I'm running a register, which is what I'm trying to say, my register till would always balance to the exact penny. I was never short, ever. I took pride in that. I took pride in being the best fucking employee I could be. And I wanted to get promoted through this company to be a supervisor. And when it came time for promotions, I kept getting passed up by people that were less qualified than me. I kept getting passed up by people that made lots of mistakes. And it started to bother me because I was wondering, What the fuck? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Why am I getting passed up when I am the best employee they have? And they're even recognizing me for that. Then I started to realize that there's a lot of bullshit when it comes to the corporate world, just like in the government. There's a lot of bullshit. A lot of these supervisors were getting promoted because they were fucking other supervisors or management in the same department. And apparently, I guess they were, promised these positions based on having sex with them. If you don't think that still happens nowadays, you're out of your goddamn mind. It does happen. It does fucking happen. I started seeing this happen. So what did I do? I started, semi-complaining professionally. What's it going to take for me to get promoted? They kept throwing me a bunch of fluff. And I kept being passed up by people that were less qualified for the job than I was. I'm going to turn around this way and start heading back to my car. I still have a ways to go on this one. Okay? So it dawned on me. I realized I was never going to get promoted within this company because, go ahead. People are coming from everywhere today, and I'm trying to just go the opposite way. So, which way am I going to go? To choose this way or that way? I'm going to go down the path that I choose to go. Inside joke for those of you that have been following me for a little while. All right. I think I have a clear path now. I started to realize that I was never going to get promoted through this company. Not because I wasn't qualified, because I wasn't what they wanted. I realized people want to promote people that they know, like, and trust, and basically that they like. It's more about who you know and if they like you than what you know. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not a bad guy. I'm a likable, decent type of guy. But it's about how much ass you kiss. It's about how much time you spend with the supervisors, hanging out with them afterwards and going to have drinks with them. It's about the extracurricular activities that you do outside of your job that will get you promoted within your job. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. Now, I did hang out with them, during certain times. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of fun back in those days. But I started to realize that if they like you, whether you feel you're a likable guy or likable gal or not, if they like you and you have something to provide for them above and beyond the regular qualifications of the promotion, they're going to promote you. If you have nothing to offer them above and beyond that, they're not going to give you shit. I had to pretty much learn how to play the fucking system to move up through my retail corporate career back in those days. So I ended up leaving this company. I ended up figuring out the game. And, for the next, roughly 10, 11 years before I became self-employed, I made good money. I kept changing jobs and kept getting raises and getting promoted to higher positions throughout this period after I learned how to play the fucking game. But should I have had to play the fucking game to get to where I wanted to get to? Did I feel good about playing the game? No. Because I was already qualified to do the job just by showing up and doing what I do at an exceptional level when compared to others. But the people that were, not doing it at that exceptional level were getting promoted and making more money and being more recognized than me. What the fuck? Seriously, what the fuck? So there was favoritism there. And let me tell you who was getting promoted. It was the women getting more promoted over the men because the women were fucking the male supervisors. And the male supervisors would go to the department manager and say, we need to promote these two ladies. They've been working hard. And they would put these women on a pedestal. You wanna see some real cucks? Go to these companies and see how much these guys cuck just to get a piece of ass. And not only that, they risk being fired and sued for sexual harassment when they do that. I'm surprised during those days when this was happening, while this was happening right underneath my nose, that none of them got in trouble for sexual harassment. You wanna talk about where the most cucked men are at? They're in the fucking corporate world. They're in the fucking corporate world. Especially if you're a male manager or supervisor and you promote other females that are less qualified than other men because you want a piece of their ass. And then the good people like me get screwed for doing the right thing. Favoritism. The system is fucking flawed. It's really fucking flawed. Okay? So, are men and women, do men and women actually have true equal rights? I think on paper we do. But I honestly think that these laws are applied differently between men and women. So it almost defeats the purpose, in my opinion, of having these equal rights in the first place. And that's where I think people are confused. Because if on paper you wrote the laws specifically for women and then for men, that would be discriminating towards one side or the other. So we're going to write the laws exactly the same for both men and women, but when it comes to applying the fucking laws, we don't look at them as laws. We look at them more as guidelines where we can decide on an individual case-by-case basis how to apply the laws, whether you're a man or a woman or depending on who you are. It's ridiculous. That's my issue right there. That's what I think people don't understand. How messed up the system is and why it's actually messed up. The laws were written for a reason. I'm happy that women can work now and have equal civil rights to men. I'm just not happy at how the laws are applied differently to women than men. Okay? That's my honest thought about it. That's how I honestly feel about it. Let me know what you think. Okay? Now, let's go to the second part of this video. How far have I gone for? Let me see. I can't even see. The sun's in my eyes. We are at 43 minutes. Oh, shit. I got to wrap this up soon. Got to wrap this baby up soon. This might be another hour-long fucking video. Okay? So, how is Coach Eli? How am I going to, basically, handle and manage, sharing information in regards to, the war between men and women? What's my stance on it? Where am I going to go from here? What are my true feelings about what I'm seeing out there and how some men and women are handling it? Let me start off by saying this. A lot of men out there think that if you defend a woman that is being taken advantage of in a reasonable way, that you're a cuck. There's nothing wrong with a real strong alpha man or alpha male defending a woman that is legitimately being abused, taken advantage of, or being hurt in any way that is within reason. Okay? If there's a reasonable reason, if that even makes sense, there's nothing wrong for a man to step in and defend a woman. Because that's our nature. That's what we were made That's how we were made to be, especially during the traditionalism days. That has not changed. The only time you become a cuck is when you defend a woman or you kiss a woman's ass just to try to get a piece of her ass, which is going to turn her off and repel her. It's not going to turn her on if you kiss her ass. Women don't want to kiss ass or a suck up. Okay? That's the only time where, in my opinion, you are a real true cuck is when you're trying to do or say anything you can for the woman and kiss her ass and put her on a pedestal just to get in her pants. But it does not make you any less of a man if you stand up and defend a woman that's being abused by a man, that's, being disrespected in ways that make no sense. Okay? That's being unappreciated. That's just basically being taken advantage of for something that's within reason. There's nothing wrong with defending her. You're not kissing her ass by doing that, and you're not being a cuck soy boy by doing that. Everyone's coming from everywhere here today. So I'm just trying to make my own path, my own clear path. It does not make you a cuck soy boy to defend a woman within reason. It makes you a strong man. It makes you a good man. It makes you a real man. Okay? But no matter, with some guys out there, which is what I'm trying to say, no matter how much of a legitimate reason you have to defend a woman, for some guys out there, defending a woman for any reason, good, bad, or indifferent, will label you a cuck soy boy. And in those cases, those men right there are big fucking pussies. They're not real men. Because there's nothing wrong with standing up for what you believe in and doing what's right in any situation, including if a woman's being abused or being harassed or attacked or being hurt in some way, shape, or form that is reasonable. Now, if a woman is out there instigating attention and she's playing a game, okay, and you go out there and try to defend her because you're trying to get on her good side and maybe try to get in her pants, then you're a cuck soy boy. I have no respect for you on that. There's nothing wrong with standing up for anyone that you feel is being abused or harassed, or if you're in a situation where, you're around a friend and he's talking shit to his wife and you're there, say, hey, dude, you know what? I don't like the way you're treating your wife right now. And quite frankly, I'm going to get going because I don't want to be friends with somebody that behaves in the way you behave. Nothing wrong with saying that. Doesn't make you a cuck soy boy for saying that. If this guy is talking shit to his wife or verbally abusing his wife in front of you or even physically abusing her in front of you, nothing wrong with standing up for that. But even to some of you guys out there, you guys think that makes any man like that a cuck soy boy. Some men out there are just so emotionally messed up. They're just so emotionally messed up. And they just don't get it to the point of where, they've given up. They've completely given up on anything logical and reasonable when it comes to dealing with women. I personally enjoy the company of a woman, and I enjoy women in general. Okay? Are all women fun, good, and interesting to hang out with? No. Okay? To each its own. Some women get along with certain types of guys, and other women get along with other types of guys. Okay? But there's nothing wrong with spending time with a woman. There's nothing wrong with respecting a woman. There's nothing wrong with standing up for a woman if that's what the situation legitimately calls for. Like I said, the only time or times where it's not good is if you're basically kissing her ass just to try to get a piece of her ass. If you're kissing her ass to try to get a piece of her ass, then you are a cuck soy boy. Then you are somebody that really needs some help. Okay? And I can help you navigate through that shit. I can help you, work on yourself and create a strategy for you that's going to, teach you how to better handle those situations in the future. Okay? But you have to be open to that type of help. Okay? So anyway, where are we at right now? We are at, 51 minutes. So, is shit fair nowadays? No, it's not. Okay? Are men and women being treated the same when it comes to, our civil rights? No, we're not. And quite frankly, can we even go as far and actually blame these women that are getting the special privileges? Because someone has to give them the special privileges in order for them to get them. Someone has been enabling this behavior. And that's more than likely been the court system. Okay? And that's also been the corporate world. Because, in the corporate world, when, let's say you're walking, down the hallway and you, as a man, accidentally brush up against a woman, barely brush up against her. And they say, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, right? You walk on by, right? Next thing you know, a day or two later, you get called into human resources and they're saying that you're being put on administrative leave, which is what they call it, administrative leave. Okay? A fancy PC professional way of saying you're being suspended for sexual harassment. Really? What did I do? Well, blah, blah, blah said you brushed up against her in the hallway and she didn't appreciate that. She said that you were, trying to do this and that, and all you did was walk on by to get to your office or something like that, right? That's where the main issues are at right there. But why is that happening? Why are women doing that? Because they know they can, because corporations are enabling that, because the corporations automatically believe the woman. If I, as a man, was walking down the hallway and a woman were to brush up against me, and 2 days later, I went to HR and said, hey, Sally sexually harassed me yesterday, and I don't appreciate it. She kept doing this and that. You know what they'd probably tell me? They'd probably would either laugh, or number two, they would say, I don't really think she was trying to do that, man. She was just walking by, this and that, right? That's what they tell men, right? That's what they tell fucking men. Then they silence us and put us on our way because we're emotionally stronger than women, so they know that we're not going to more so overreact. So they handle us differently than they handle women because women are more emotional, right? But realistically, would I have even gone to HR in the first place? If a woman walks past me and accidentally brushes up against me, and she says, excuse me, I'll say, hey, no problem. Hey, have a good day, right? I go on with my day, and that's that. Right? We do have the same rights. In the workforce, in the government, in those aspects, on paper, we have the same rights. How those rights are applied to us as individuals, as individual men, individual women, vary according to whoever's making that decision, which is another human being. And in many cases, like I mentioned earlier, they're going to be basing those decisions on how they're feeling either in the current moment, or they're going to compare it to something they may be currently going through in their personal lives or have been through in the past, and they're going to base their decision on that. Is that fair? Is that fair? So we need to create a better system to where all laws, are decided at an equal playing level, regardless of who's making the decision. You got to stick to the fucking law. You cannot decide in a special way because, you just get a good feeling in your head and your heart that the woman's telling the truth, that the man actually beat her up when he didn't, and now you're going to award her child custody. When in essence, that man's been nothing but the best fucking father possible, right? We got to do a better job of how we apply the law. The law is the law. It's there for both men and women, but how we apply the law needs to be applied equally across the board between men and women. Women wanted equal rights, they got them. It's fine. I have no problem with that. And on paper, once again, I'll wrap up with this, we do have equal rights. On paper, we do have equal rights pretty much in everything with the exception of the draft and reproductive rights, which I mentioned my thoughts about that. Go back and watch this video if you missed that part. Okay? The bottom line is, like I said, we need to find a better way to apply these laws equally and fairly. Like I said, women wanted equal rights. They got them. No problem with that. There's absolutely no problem with that. Any man has a problem with that, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. What we need to do is do a better job in the decision-making process. And we're not doing that. We have people out there, like in the corporate world where I worked at, there were managers that were not even qualified for the job that were hired because they were friends of a higher manager. And instead of promoting people within that were more qualified, they would hire people from the outside that weren't qualified at all because they were friends with the fucking manager. We got to do a better job of getting the right managers in place. And that even includes the government. To me, a judge is considered like the general manager of the courtroom. They're like the main general manager that makes the final decision, right? So we got to get better managers to manage all of our processes. We got to train our managers better. We're not doing that. And that's why we have fucking issues. The issue is not the fact that we have equal rights. The issue is that the laws are applied differently between men and women. They're applied differently. And in my opinion, more so they're favoring women. I do agree with that. In my opinion, when you're favoring women, I'll end it up with this, which is what I'm trying to say. When you're favoring women with these laws, you're discriminating against men, which you as a judge are violating the law right there. And you are the law. You are the law violating the law by discriminating against men. So that's where the issue is. The issue is the special privileges that are being enabled by the judges, by the government, by the corporate world. And again, I think one of the main reasons why they've done that, I mentioned it before, is because women are more emotional than men. And men, you can appease men more easily by saying, hey, dude, she didn't mean to do that. Don't worry about it, dude. Just, it's all good, right? And then the man will walk away. Women, when they get something in their head emotionally that's bothering them, they just won't stop. So we have to treat women differently because of the way they were biologically made. And I can understand that, but we got to do a better job of handling that, even from a corporate standpoint and a government standpoint. No matter how emotional women get, if women are wrong, we shouldn't take their side just to subside their emotions. And that's where we're going to end this here today at exactly 1 fucking hour. That being said, I'll be back for another video tomorrow. You all have yourselves a great day. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And I will see you all soon. See you later. Bye.